What's up, guys? It's Lord Both here for another video, and Doctor Who is dead. I mean, we've pretty much known it's dead for a long while, but it seems like the mainstream media, or really the corporate media, have finally come to the realization that this show, it's not gonna last anymore. Because now you even have mainstream publications like Deadline coming out and saying, Doctor Who ratings dive, supercharging uncertainty about the future of sci-fi series. In this article, they state Deadline has analyzed official 7-day viewing figures for the first half of season 15, and it does not make for easy reading for those involved in Doctor Who. The first 4 episodes have averaged 3.1 million viewers, which was 800,000 viewers down from last year's season, which was Gatwa's first as the Doctor. Compare the first half of season 15 to Jodie Whittaker's last outing as the Doctor, and things get uglier. Season 13 was watched by 5 million people over its first 4 episodes in 2021, 2 million more viewers than the show is currently managing, and they even have a nice little table here that shows you, on average, the show went from 5 million viewers to 3.9 in Ncuti Gatwa's first season, and now in his second season, 3.1. So steadily in decline. Keep in mind that this is a show that would regularly break 9, 10 million viewers, with its all-time peak close to 14 million viewers. And that was back when they had a lot smaller budget and didn't have the backing of a giant corporation like Disney. Though to be fair, that might be why the show is diving off into the deep end, with Russell T Davies, Ncuti Gatwa, and even his co-stars all basically coming out and wanting to make the show the wokest possible, with the most messaging possible when it comes to politics and modern day culture. That is to say, their view of culture and what they think is superior, and how you should believe and think. And they seem absolutely fine and actually cheering on losing viewers as they use such agenda to push those viewers away. Showrunner Russell T Davies, who was originally thought, to be the guy they bring in to save Doctor Who and bring in the great stories that he used to make. Well, he's actually pushed this thing even further off the deep end than anyone could dream. In fact, he's been the driving force of making Doctor Who even woker, and to be honest, gayer, and pushing through all of the terrible storylines that apparently the BBC always told him he couldn't do originally. I mean, this is the guy that's now behind the terrible decision to make Davros a walking normal guy again, an evil mad scientist. And why did he do that? Not for any real canonic reasons that he could come up with, but because he didn't want to give a evil stigmatism to people in wheelchairs. Which is funny because if you look at British shows like Vexed, which they could never make now, they have a whole episode in that show where the guy in the wheelchair ends up being the criminal mastermind. And half the reason he does it is because he's tired of the stigmatism of people believing that just because he's in a wheelchair, he can't be a bad guy. Anyway, Russell T Davies, he hasn't done a lot to actually calm the fears of people thinking that this show, because of the rating slip, is going to get canceled. Because he came out and said, Doctor Who is like Robin Hood, meaning there might be a pause in the story, but no good idea ever dies. A BBC spokesperson also came out and said, as we have previously stated, the decision on season 16 will be made after season 15 airs, and any other claims are just pure speculation. The deal with Disney Plus was for 26 episodes, and we still have an entire spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, to air. Yikes. And as for the rest, we never comment on the Doctor and the future storylines. I can tell you right now, wherever the ratings are for Doctor Who, cut that by a third, cut that third into another third, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have the ratings for this The War Between Land and Sea show. It's going to be a bloodbath. Absolutely nobody cares about this. I can tell you that right now. So obviously, these guys need a Hail Mary to try to ensure that the show goes on. And what was that thought? Well, they've decided to bring Billie Piper back. Billie Piper, who played the companion to Christopher Eccleston's version of the Doctor in the early 2000s, and then later on with David Tennant even becoming his love interest in that iteration. Well, they're bringing her back again. She's come back several times now, but this time they've decided to make her the Doctor. Yep, the Doctor is going to wear the face of the woman that an iteration of him loved. There's some kind of latent messaging in there about the narcissism of like these artists and creators that I just can't put my finger on, but it's definitely there, especially with somebody like Russell T Davies. But yeah, this was actually leaked originally that she was going to come in. People didn't really believe it initially. Then the episode aired and Ncuti Gatwa did transform into Billie Piper. So not only are we getting a new female Doctor Who, which is, again, not a thing I agree with and a lot of people agree with at all, but it's also a female Doctor Who used to be the companion that was in love with Doctor Who. Why? Why would you think that this is the thing that's going to bring people back? Just because it's a person who played a character that people used to like doesn't mean bringing them back in this kind of iteration means people are going to actually enjoy it or want to come back to see it. They know it's different. Listen, my daughter loves fried rice, but when I've tried to put peas and carrots into her fried rice when I make it, she's still gonna know it's different, and if there's enough of them in there, she's just not gonna eat it at all. This is one of those situations. All of this has led to headlines from the actual corporate press that is now turning on the BBC Disney show, saying things like, and this is from Gizmodo, Doctor Who needs to go away and think about what it did. From The Sun, exterminated Doctor Who's wokest ever lead star, Ncuti Gatwa exits after just 2 series, with show to be paused after ratings nosedive. From Unheard, Doctor Who lost its way years before Ncuti Gatwa, something that I strongly agree with. And from our friends over at Screen Rant, far from the alt-right pipeline of YouTube content creator, reviewers, and critics, stating, Doctor Who Season 15 Episode 8 Review. I genuinely don't understand half of the decisions that were made in this bizarre series finale. The point here is that everyone knows that this show is dying, and there's not a real way to keep it alive. No amount of cards they're shuffling is actually going to bring people back in a massive way long term, as long as they keep going down the road that they're going in terms of storylines. And with Russell T Davies at the helm, that's definitely going to keep happening. And at a certain extent, I think he's okay with that, and I think the people working on the project are okay with that. Because I think fundamentally at this point, they don't want to make Doctor Who. The show that they used to do, the actual Doctor Who show, they don't want to make that anymore. They created that, it became this big, awesome thing that drew a massive audience, and now what they want to do is they want to use that massively popular thing as a platform to tell their own stories and push their own political, social, cultural views, which people at this point are incredibly tired of, and they've proven that they're not going to watch it. So what they're really doing is shouting from a sinking ship as long as they possibly can until they're in the water of failure. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.